Today I will share how I painted the tiles in my bathroom. When painting tiles, especially epoxy or tile paint is needed. These paints are made to stick to tile and is more durable and washable. I use the paint from Rust-Oleum. They require two paints, the base layer, which is the colored paint, and the top layer, which is a clear transparent coat. If you are doing a stencil design, then you may need two or more colored base layer paints. For the Rust-Oleum paints, they mentioned primer paint is not required, but as I had some leftover primer, I still added a layer before I added the base paint. As I wanted an additional design for my tile, I bought a stencil from a brand called Nola. There are assorted designs online to choose from. Make sure the stencil size that you choose is similar to your tile size. Before painting, some tile prep is needed. First, I gave the surface a quick sand using an 80 grit sandpaper and wiped away any dust. I then used some painter's tape to go along the walls to protect the areas I didn't want to mistakenly paint. Lastly, I gave the floors a good scrub using a strong floor cleaner. Once the tiles are prepped, the paintwork begins. So starting with the primer, I painted the edges and grout lines with a synthetic brush, then filled in the rest with a dense 3/8" nap paint roller. Once dried, I applied 2 layers of Rust-Oleum smoke grey base coat, allowing it to dry for 6 hours in between. Once the paint dried, I used my stencil and painted on the line pattern using Rust-Oleum's ultra-wide base color paint. To prevent the paint from bleeding under the stencil, I rolled the foam roller on a kitchen towel first to absorb any excess paint. The drier the roller, the cleaner the lines. The first few tiles will be messy, so start somewhere less visible, such as under the vanity. I did the tiles next to the wall, or ones with awkward shapes, last, as I needed to cut up the stencil in order to complete those areas. Once I stenciled all the tiles and the paint was dry, I took a smaller paintbrush and went back to clean up any uneven or bleeding areas. Lastly, once all the paint was dry, I added 2 layers of the top clear coat. And that's pretty much it. When you remove the painter's tape, take care. In the beginning, I pulled it off directly and it took off some of the paint on my tiles, which later required me to repaint and fix it. So to make sure I didn't pull up any more paint when I removed the tape, I took a penknife and scored the border first before removing the tape. This worked well. Remember to let the paint fully dry. Light foot traffic is allowed after 24 hours. Wait 72 hours before adding any furniture, and don't wash it for 7 days until it's fully cured. I spent 2 days and around $80 and gave the floors a nice makeover. Very happy with the result. If you have old tiles, maybe you can give it a try too.